I'm not sure if this belongs here, because I'm not sure if this experience is real or just wild imagination. But when I was a little child, around 4 to 6 year old maybe, I used to hear voices from my house's kitchen. These voices would come around at maybe 5 a.m. when the sun was already out, so as a child it wasn't that scary anymore. I would hear a family of 3 talking in our kitchen. I couldn't see there from my room. The family had a mom and a dad and a son. They splashed water and kept laughing as they wanted to make fun of us by wasting our water. Every time I'd wake up to these noises, but it never made me want to go and see what was going on because I was scared. I just take my pillow and blanket and run to my parents' room to sleep in between them. I'd still hear these voices there. I felt safe because I was with my parents. The craziest thing in all of this is that my big sister heard them too. We just never talked about it back then. But after we moved out, we got to talking about this, and she said she had the exact same experience. This has always freaked me out, because I guess we'll never know if it was just a coincidence or was our child home haunted. This story will be quite short. I don't particularly believe in the paranormal or ghost, but I have an open mind and do not exclude the possibility of their existence. Many in my family believe in it, and I remain attentive to a possible, irrefutable proof for me. And I wonder if my new apartment will not be the one that will bring this proof. I moved almost 2 years ago into an old apartment building, but it was renovated before I moved in. Floors mostly made of parquet, and all the cupboards are made of wood. I specify because for me, this material can explain many noises heard at night. For several months, I heard my closets creaking and cracking, and sometimes even the parquet floor. I thought it probably came from the fact that the apartment had been empty for a while, and now that there is life in it, the apartment's working. For an example, my cupboards that had been empty for several months find themselves having to bear the weight of my laundry, my books, my games, etc. So I thought that the creaking and cracking came from the wood that was being overworked. Same for the parquet, which suddenly was solicited. In addition, I am quite heavy. But today, these noises still persist. Over time, they were accompanied by noises in the laundry room, others coming from a small storage room, without me being able to explain the reason. Small thing to know, on my floor there are 2 apartments, mine and that of the landlady's. The stairs were unoccupied because she was too old to climb the 3 floors without an elevator, so the noises couldn't come from her house. Lately, a new element had came to disturb my tranquility. Recently, the kitchen bulb has been flashing, sometimes regularly and sometimes not. And even more disturbing, when I ask for the light to stay on without flashing, it seems to do so, at least for as long as I stay in the kitchen, and start flashing again as soon as I leave. And this event began after the death of my landlady. I have been seeing shadow things and light orbs for years. In one window in my hallway, I would wake up from sleep in the wee hours of the morning and see a small light orb, slightly bigger than a laser cat toy point, flicking erratically to other points in the window, almost dancing in a way. Now the shadow things are more recent than the orbs. Out of the corner of my eye, I will see a tall shadow man peek into my door frame or stand still in my hallway, and then slowly fade away after looking at them. I have also seen shadow spiders crawling up my walls or arms. I live in an old house and have always felt uneasy during night. As I type this, I feel a small sense of dread over this. Edit. I made this post quite early and was half asleep and scared. I'm calmer now, and the comments have opened my eyes to other more mundane solutions to my problem. Take this experience with a grain of salt, and if you're interested in commenting advice, I would still appreciate it. Edit. Please do not start arguments in the comments. I'm accepting all types of viewpoints and solutions, and no one's viewpoint is more important than the other. Everyone has different opinions. Thanks. Hello, before I proceed to ask, I'm going to kind of explain everything. My house is haunted. We've had a guide come and tell us that it is, but they've said for most of the part it's harmless. Me, on the other hand, I'm obsessed with the paranormal, especially since I was little. I would say these chants or make my own Ouija boards and willingly invite things in overall. My family, over the years, for most experienced things paranormal. Shadow figures, voices, steps, seeing things, orbs, something caught on camera, the usual. It is nothing bad to the point where we need an exorcism. But for me, I've experienced more things than most of my family. But there's things in particular that only happens to me. I don't know what it is, or if it's paranormal or just some mental disease. Now I'm going to go on with the question I was going to ask in the first place. I have this thing. I don't know what it is, so I just call it sleep paralysis. Because I can't find anything on Google that can explain what is exactly. Because I have never met anyone that's experienced similar things. This started back in 2020. When I'm alone, I would get really tired all of a sudden, like something just drained my energy out of me. And suddenly I find myself wanting to take a nap. Here's what happens that concerns me a bit. As soon as I close my eyes, it's like my body shuts down and I get into this paralysis kind of mode. I start feeling things, like something really evil, like a presence, but it's not good at all. The difference in sleep paralysis or this is that. This happens in the most part when I take naps in the morning. When I'm alone, I don't see shadows or anything like what happens in sleep paralysis. It's different for me. I feel and I hear everything, and for some reason everything shuts down, including my eyes. I cannot open them either, but I feel and hear everything, and every time this happens, the same thing occurs. I feel an evil presence all over my body, especially in the back, like someone's pushing me down on me. I hear like static or growling noises. With it, these would occur day after day in 2020 until I couldn't take it, and I told my mom. As soon as she mentioned the church, it stopped. Like it hasn't happened in 2 years except for today. First time in 2 years it happened to me again. This time my brother left the house, and it's like I got this energy sucked out of me again. Then shut my eyes. Immediately, my body shut down, and the first same negative presence was all over my body. This time my dog was sitting on top of me sleeping. I felt like I heard her growls and then cries at some point. That's when I got scared. I tried my hardest to wake up and even started praying and saying, "Lord, help me, please." It was intense. Plus the feeling in my back was so intense I heard this growling but deep voice and some sort of laugh. It's weird to explain. I snapped out of it after 2 minutes. I started regaining control in my body and opened my eyes. I saw black type of orbs around me, but honestly, I don't know if that was because I opened my eyes. But when I started moving a bit, my body completely shut down on me again. I didn't feel anything yet because I was honestly trying my hardest to fight it, and I did end up snapping out of it. Now here's where I ask my question. Is this paranormal or a mental illness? I tried to do some research, but I can't really find anything like this. I've seen multiple therapists, but I've never been diagnosed with schizophrenia or anything like that. If someone knows what this is, please tell me. Curious Raven here. I usually do not respond to these in my videos, but this has happened to me once. I was doing homework, and I'm guessing I started falling asleep, and I just felt exhausted all at once. And I remember closing my eyes, but I felt this overwhelming dread, an evil feeling come over me. And outside my window, it was around fall time, I could hear something walking in the woods right next to my house. It was so loud. And then I snapped out of it and I prayed to God, and it was scary. But that's as much as I've experienced. To me, it's very similar. But it's only happened to me once. And I have no idea what it is. To me, it felt like I was at a weak point and something evil tried to come and visit me. And that's the only way I could explain it. Good luck for finding out what it is. My wife was renting a house a few years ago in an old area with a lot of history. When she moved, there was a lot of stuff left in the closets, like the people moved out in a hurry, leaving things behind. We end up with a nice set of powered Bose speakers. After living there a few months, things started happening. Light bulbs always seemed to be loose, so lights would not turn on. We were down in front of the fire one night. It sounded like light footsteps running in the upstairs. As soon as you're aware of it, it stopped. Our Chihuahua, Leo, seemed to notice something and was looking up the dark stairwell. It had to be nothing, I thought. What could it be? So later, after we moved out, my wife admitted she brought this ornate gold clock upstairs she had found in the basement, hidden behind the furnace. Strange place to put such a nice clock. So when she brought it up, that's when things started to happen. First, the clock would chime in the middle of the night. I mean, temperature change, metal shrink and expand, right? Then the light bulb slowly unscrewing. My wife told me she was having a little blonde kid show up in her dreams. He was wearing old-fashioned pilgrim-looking clothes, so didn't want to tell me because she knows I don't believe in that sort of thing. I could feel the creepy energy of that place, the kind of uneasy feeling you can't explain. There are energies out there science can't explain. Mischievous ghost hands teasing us.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross